Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of The Legend of Zelda: The Wind Waker. My favorite game of all time, perhaps. That's actually probably, you can probably see that from this channel. If y'all don't know, I run a 3D modeling project on this channel where I am remodeling the entire land of Hyrule as it could have existed within the world of The Wind Waker. So I like calling myself the biggest Wind Waker fan on YouTube. That might be true. That might be true, but yeah. Just I love this game. I fell in love with this game so much that I've just always wanted to see more of it and to continue to see more of it. Even though there's been other Zelda games and there's other games that scratch that itch of wanting to explore Hyrule in a beautiful art style. I mean, for instance, I was really happy with Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom and being able to explore Hyrule in those games. Playing Twilight Princess scratches that itch as well. But it's something that Wind Waker's unique art style has just still not been matched for me in the game. The Ice Ring Isle, it's one square east, right? I think that's it over there. Um, my map is not filled out, so forgive me. I'm a little bit lost, but I'm doing my best. I call myself the world's biggest Wind Waker fan, and yet here I am. I don't even know the layout of the sea chart. And I know that there's people that would know that memorized off the back, like their back of the hand. I love the game, and that's what matters. There's things I've forgotten, and that's why I'm replaying it. Is that I'm doing this 3D modeling project, and yet I realize that there's things that I just don't automatically know, and I feel like I know enough to talk about it and to be right most of the time. But there's just little things that slip through the cracks, and I want to make sure that I'm making informed decisions as I model my map, about what locations I think different islands could correspond to. Ice Ring Isle is this snowy mountain. Is it part of a larger snowy mountain? Where would the snowy mountains in Hyrule be? Because it'd be great to have more environmental diversity. So there's questions to answer, right? Like that. And that's something that some of it's just speculation, some of it there's no hard evidence. But if I can play the game and just try to figure something out, make sure all of my decisions are informed, that would go a long way. And especially because I'm doing that 3D modeling project, but I'm also I'm a filmmaker, I'm a writer, and something I want to do is once I've made my map, I want to make cutscene style short films taking place within Hyrule in the Wind Waker. They kind of act as a prelude to the game, as a prologue, where you can see the world right before it's flooded. That's something that I would be interested in. Do y'all see the fish jumping? Yeah, there it is over there. So that's something I'm interested in. And I want to make sure that all the decisions I make for that are, if they're not creative, they're motivated by lore. And it's going to be both, right? That's something that I've already shared some of my thoughts on the channel of the story I want to tell through those short films. Feel free to look that up. I think it's just called the story of Wind Waker Unflooded, and I talk about kind of an outline, and I share that for those short films, and that's something I'm excited about. And I want to make sure that those scripts are the best that they can be. And there's still a lot of ideas that I'm sitting on and things I'm figuring out. I haven't written a final draft yet. I've hardly started a first draft, but I'm excited to keep working on that. And I want to keep sharing that with y'all as I work on that and be transparent about progress. And maybe I could do a read through on the channel when there is a draft one, just so I can get y'all's feedback, because that really matters to me. Making sure that, and there's times where I'm going to make my own decisions about Wind Waker Unflooded, and their short films, and they're going to be creative decisions that maybe not everyone agrees with. But I do want it to be something that we can share, and that can kind of feel like it feels like the most official version possible. It may not totally line up with lore, and I may make some of my own decisions in the map and in the films, but that is something that I do want everyone to be able to enjoy it and feel like it's more of the Wind Waker, because that's what I'm going for. I want it to be complimentary, but it's also it's my take, and that's how I feel with the map, and that's how I'm feeling about these scripts as I approach them. It's it's guided through my own creativity and my perspective and my philosophy and my interpretation of what Wind Waker is trying to say. Because all I can do is interpret it the best way I know how as well. And that's how it is. And that's something I feel aware of, is I'm trying to do my best to figure out the artistic intent of the developers, but that's always going to be read through my own lens, and I have my own biases, and I try to be aware of that. Those are all just things I think about as an audience member, right? I don't know. We can talk about like death of the author, right? And like, does a piece of art mean anything except what it means to its viewers? And I think that like artistic intent is real and valuable, and thinking about like, well, what were the developers trying to say? And Wind Waker is full of meta commentary that you can see that the developers made Wind Waker to directly comment on the development of Wind Waker and how they felt in the aftermath of developing Ocarina of Time, which I think is fascinating. That in a way, and I feel this way about all of, like, I'm a filmmaker. I make my own short films. Look, go to my main channel to watch those. But like, I do feel like, I don't know if this is true for every piece of art, but there's so many pieces of art that the stories they tell often become behind the scenes for the making of the film itself in some way. It's not a direct analog, but there's something that the film is saying that is true about the making of it. And I think that that's fascinating. And I think there's so many examples of it, right? Just, and, in pieces that are, of course, like, that are products of their time, but so many films that, like, literally their story and the messaging of the story has something to do with the way the story was made and the environment in which it was made. That's definitely true with Wind Waker. And the fact that they felt like maybe they were competing with past versions of themselves that made Ocarina of Time, which was heralded as being such a masterpiece. How do you compete with a masterpiece? And I think Wind Waker is even better. Like, I love Ocarina of Time. I think I do think Ocarina of Time is a masterpiece in so many ways. And I think they one-upped it in this game. Like, and I don't know. And maybe like if I went like piece by piece and like had criteria for the game, and maybe there's some way in which Ocarina of Time could come out on top, but I don't think so. I think Wind Waker in every way to me is superior, and there's things I love about Ocarina of Time, but I really feel that way. I think they totally one-upped themselves, and I love that. I love that they accomplished that, and I think they did it several times over. I love Ocarina of Time, and I think there are things that it does that it's hard to compete with, even in games like Twilight Princess that are a direct comparison to Ocarina of Time. And yet there's things Ocarina of Time still does better. But I think Twilight Princess is mostly a better version of Ocarina of Time. I do want to replay Twilight Princess on the channel. And I think if y'all want to see me play more games on the channel, I think Twilight Princess would be one of the ones I would want to do next. Hopefully by the time I get to Twilight Princess, I'm also doing modeling videos again. I've talked before that on the channel, progress on the modeling project has stalled just a little bit due to technical reasons, and I've already talked about that. But I'm very excited to get back into modeling videos, and hopefully that will be very soon. I have so many ideas and things that I'm inspired to work on, locations I want to bring to life, and we're figuring out now, like, now that the project's, like, it's not on hiatus, but, like, because there are technical reasons that the modeling's on break, there's been open discussions about, like, kind of reconceptualizing some of the map as well. Figuring out the layout of some of these locations, and that's still an active discussion. And like, because of course, like, so much of my map already was going off of certain assumptions about the layout, and certain things that I still think make sense. So there's going to be a back and forth there, and there probably will throughout all of this project be a back and forth about certain creative decisions. That's just the nature of collaborative projects and fan projects, and there's always going to be different decisions that are, different people have different opinions on. And that's the beauty of a project that is this big, that is so motivated by passion. I love that I get to share my passion and my love of Zelda with all of you commenters, with my collaborators, and that, like, we can share that passion, and together, like, that will lead us to try to, like, make decisions about a new project, right? And try to figure out, what about Wind Waker Unflooded, right? What about the 3D modeling? What about the story? What about all those things? And that is motivated by passion. And I just think that that's cool. That so many of y'all have come to the channel and love the project and are supportive of it, and continue to be supportive even despite the modeling being kind of on hold right now due to those technical reasons. And so I appreciate, just the fact that y'all are all here, and that a couple of y'all are still watching these videos. And I'm really glad that you're here. And I want to make sure that, there may be times I complain about YouTube for different reasons. I don't think I've complained too much yet, but there may be times where I try not to show my frustrations, but there may be times where it happens, and I want y'all to know that I'm so thankful to have this community and to have a place where, like, I don't know, like Wind Waker, like, I knew a couple of other people growing up that loved this game as well, but I think it was a lonely thing, and I really wanted to share this with so many more people and share my love of Zelda with more and more people. And I've been just overjoyed to now have a community where I can talk about it and I can express all of these things and talk about my favorite games and what different games do better and kind of have this conversation on the channel and share it with y'all and share my love for Wind Waker specifically. And that's part of why I'm playing this game again. This is it makes sense for the channel, but it's one of my, it might be my favorite game of all time, and it's just every time I play it, it hasn't aged a day. I look at it now, and it's still as beautiful as it was all those years ago when I played it for the first time, and I really do still feel that way. I really do. So I don't know. Just thank you all so much for, I guess, just being able to share this love with me. And I just really appreciate that. So I just want to make sure I'm voicing all that. I'm going to warp over to One Square West, and that'll make it a little easier to get to the southern Sage Island. I think we're heading to Headstone Island. That's where we'll learn the Earth Gods lyric aria, the aria, right? Excuse me, I get all these things mixed up. I'm an old timer. It's been a long time. I'm getting old. I get forgetful. These newfangled Zelda games are changing things, and they're not what they used to be, and I forget the names. And excuse me, excuse me. I do feel like an old timer sometimes. I don't know. It's weird because I'm in my mid-20s. Like I don't feel that old, but then I'm playing this game that is 20 years old that I grew up with that was relatively new in the years that I was playing it. And so I don't know. Like sometimes I do feel like an old timer, like falling in love with these 20-year-old games. And I think a lot of Zelda fans feel that way. You talk about Ocarina of Time and Twilight Princess and even Skyward Sword, which is now like 15 years old, which, I don't like saying that because I remember Skyward Sword was the game that like I was really like paying attention to its release and like got it day one, right? And like I don't know, like just thinking that it's already 10 plus years later. Oh man, I don't like thinking about that. It scares me a little bit. And part of it, I don't know too, like just to be candid on this channel. And I don't want to say too much about this, but I think a lot of us feel the same way that dealt with the pandemic, that COVID, I feel like there were 2 years that I feel like I feel like I can subtract from my timeline a little bit, right? Just in that, like, it feels like those 2 years didn't pass. Like it was all a part of the same time. Like just life slowed down so much during the pandemic, and there were opportunities that a lot of us didn't have. And I don't want to say too much about that, but like if I say something was 5 years ago and that surprises me, it's because it feels like 3 years ago, right? In some weird way, the pandemic all just feels like it was one bad year, but it wasn't. It was more than that. And I don't know, like I think there's a lot of it delayed so many things, and I think just part of that, it's like I just have that feeling that I can subtract a couple years from the timeline, right? Because it doesn't feel like it was that long ago, or that it took that long, but it was. And I don't like thinking of how much that slowed down, but anyway, I think a lot of us feel that way, and I don't want to harp on some of these sad things and sad times. I want to play this game, and I don't know, like I think it's okay to like bring that stuff up, but I just know that this game and this series is about escapism for so many people, so I don't want to linger on negativity. In general, y'all know me. I like to think I'm a bit of an optometrist. My glasses are half full. I'm sorry. That is a terrible joke, but I've been working on it. I've been working on my delivery of that. Give me another shot. Let me do the delivery again. Let me tell the joke again. I see life as a bit of an optometrist. My glasses are half full. Wait for laughter. Sorry, guys. I'm sorry. Sorry y'all have to deal with me. Thank you so much for subscribing. If y'all are new to the channel, don't be afraid to subscribe. Click the button down below, and hopefully you'll be able to stick around for when modeling videos resume. I'm so excited to work on the Wind Waker Unflooded modeling project again soon, and hopefully that starts back up. So I don't know. I'm excited to get back into that. So anyway, here is the Earth God's lyric. It's the lyric. The Wind God is the aria. I get them all mixed up. I'm sorry, guys. The Triforce is resonating. Hello. Who could you be? Oh, I love this cutscene and just the fact that this old ancient kingdom, like, you're finally confronting its ghosts. Like, that's powerful, right? The relationship that you have with the past, and it's made tangible here. My name is Laruto. I am a Zora sage. For an age, I offered my prayers here in the Earth Temple, praying that the power to repel evil would ever remain within the Master Sword. And yet, unfortunately, due to Ganondorf's evil designs, the Master Sword you hold has lost this power. After his defeat at the hands of the Hero of Time, Ganondorf was sealed away, but not for all time. He was revived, and he returned to Hyrule in a red wrath. He attacked this temple and stole my soul, knowing that he had to remove the power contained in that enchanted blade. In order to return the power to repel evil to your sword, you must find another to take my stead in this temple, and ask the gods for their assistance. You must find the one who carries on my bloodline, the one who holds this sacred instrument. Nothing can stop the flow of time or the passing of generations, but the fate carried within my bloodline endures the ravages of all the years. It survives. The song you just conducted is one which will open the eyes of the new sage and awaken within the sage the melody that will carry our prayers to the gods. I love that. That music is the way that they communicate to the gods. I love that. The door that blocks your way will only open when the sage plays that song. May the winds of fortune blow with you. I love that. Yeah, because I really believe that music is the language of the human soul in so many ways. And that maybe that's pretentious to say as a musician, as a composer, as a pianist, as a singer even. I sing a little bit. But yeah, it's just I do believe that the music is that it's the language of our soul, and I think it makes sense that so much of church, where we try to recognize the divine, is through singing and music, trying to recognize the divine through song. Right? I think there's a reason for that. That such an important part of worship is musical. It is a spiritual experience, right? Even if you're not a very spiritual person. And I don't want to talk too much about that, because I could ramble on about that. I'm a spiritual person. I'm religious, and I definitely believe in the power of music. I don't know. I believe in all things that are beautiful. You can see the hand of God who made them. That's what I believe. That I don't know. Not to get into anything too controversial on the channel, but I do believe if you want to confront the creator of the universe, you look at the beautiful things the creator has made. That's how I see God, as a creator. And so how better to see, to understand God than to immerse myself in what God has created. That's the way I see it. But I could ramble about that for a long time. I think we're getting into the end of the episode, so let me bring up some controversial topics and then dip. I hope the comment section is kind, and I will see you all in the next video. Thank you all so much for watching. Without further ado, I'll let you go. As always, you can support me as a creator by becoming a member on Patreon. There you'll get access to all kinds of exclusive behind-the-scenes content like in-progress outlines, scripts, storyboards, rough cuts, and even soundtracks for my newest films. By becoming a member, you'll also be thanked in the credits for any film I finish during your membership. You can also support me by streaming my music. I compose all of the scores for my own short films, and you can listen to those soundtracks on Spotify, Apple Music, or wherever you listen to music. Just look up Joe Kendrick. That's JoeKendrick. Y'all have a wonderful day, and without further ado, I'll let you go.